What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dana White addresses rumors of reading script. Bryce Mitchell's controversial comments on the first episode of his Arcane Sanity podcast led to Dana White promptly addressing the matter while speaking with media members, leading many fans to believe that he was reading a prepared statement from the bosses at TKO. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. During an appearance on the Tucker Carlson show released on Monday, White addressed the situation, refuting rumors that he was reading a prepared statement.
It's not like we got a bunch of lawyers on the phone and we didn't, I got on Google and I started looking up World War II and, remind Bryce Mitchell on what a piece of was. Okay, and why he's not a good guy and why you wouldn't want to go fishing with him. And that was it. I saw people saying, oh, he read a canned. I don't ever read canned statements. Nobody writes anything for me, and lawyers are never involved when I go out and speak.
While Dana was pretty critical of Mitchell, it doesn't sound like he's going to get suspended or released for his comments. At the time he addressed media members, White said that the best part about MMA is that Mitchell could very well wind up getting what's coming to him inside the octagon. Meanwhile, Mitchell has released an apology of his own in an attempt to put the whole situation behind him. Islam Makhachev next UFC fight gets leaked? Islam Makhachev might have told media members after his win over Renato Moicano that his next opponent would not be Arman Tsarukyan, Charles Oliveira, or Ilia Topuria. But according to one social media user who claims to have inside information, a fight between Makhachev and Topuria is 100% happening. I have inside info that Topuria vs Makhachev is 100% happening. Date and location TBA. Considering that Makhachev had said his next fight would not involve Topuria, and the UFC has yet to announce anything regarding the fight, the MMA community seems somewhat skeptical about the announcement. However, the source doubled down. I don't tweet fight announcements without confirmations. According to one member of the MMA world, even though Ilia Topuria has just one title defense on his resume, a win for Makhachev would be the biggest of his career and throw him into the GOAT conversation. Islam Makhachev beating Ilia Topuria would be the biggest win of his career. Considering what Ilia has done so far, this win plus what Makhachev has already done throws Islam right into the GOAT conversation, in my opinion. Given that Dana White had teased something big for Islam Makhachev, it'll be interesting to see if a fight with El Matador gets finalized. MMA community not happy with Conor McGregor for footage. Conor McGregor wound up in another viral incident this week, with the former champ making headlines for spitting on a fan who was chanting, "Let's go Khabib," as he walked by. Footage of the situation was quick to make its way around the MMA world, showing McGregor turning around and walking up to the grinning fan before spitting on his face twice and walking away.
Yo, McGregor, can I get a picture? I spit in your face, what you do? Nothing. Just spit in your face, you do nothing.
The MMA community was quick to weigh in on the situation, with one fan pointing out that after submitting McGregor, Khabib spit on him. Another added, Khabib spits on Conor. Conor spits on Khabib fan. Others criticized McGregor. Oh wow, what a tough guy. A former world champion in MMA spitting in the face of a civilian. He didn't even say anything to insult him. All he did was mention the guy that beat him in an MMA bout. He has such a fragile ego for someone who's rich and accomplished. One wrote, Conor needs to stay on his yacht, just keeps making an embarrassment of himself and his legacy. Some think the troll might be in for a payday. Wow, easy lawsuit. Another weighed in, adding, lawsuit, and depending on where this is, a very serious offense charge. Others agreed. This is considered and it's on camera clear as day. He can sue Conor and I hope he does. One replied, lawsuit. Time to claim that proper 12 money. Whoever you are, don't fumble this bag. Another fan pointed to the fact that the fan could not do anything even if he wanted to. What a loser, bro. Bullying people when you can fight and have security is low. Some fans are just done with McGregor entirely. Conor gotta be one of the worst people to ever be given a platform. Jake Shields, however, defended Conor McGregor. I'm not a Conor fan, but if you come into his personal space and disrespect him, you deserve to get spit on, if not knocked out. Others hurled personal insults. This man is a walking CTE, reasons not to abuse billboard. Considering Dana White's latest comments after McGregor's highly controversial posts last week, there's no telling when McGregor will ever return to the UFC octagon. From the looks of things though, more fans are starting to turn on the former champ. Jiri Prochazka reveals next potential opponents. With a big win over Jamal Hill at UFC 311, Jiri Prochazka is now sitting on the brink of title contention. With Magomed Ankalaev set to fight for the belt in early March, Prochazka is eager to secure himself a trilogy fight with Pereira. The big question, of course, is what's next for the former champion. During an appearance on the Overdogs podcast this week, Prochazka spoke about the situation. With Alex, I would like to fight him like a next opponent, but right now, I don't want to push it. If the UFC negotiations about that wants to prove me with some opponent, like I said, I see the three guys there from top 5. There's Alex, there's Ankalaev, and third one is Jan Blachowicz because he showed a really nice performance against Alex too. So one of these three for me, I'd like to stand, and for me, it's right now like this year. I know I'm going to the top right now, and just give me some opponents, and I will want to prove that. I want to show that I'm the champion. After taking a year and a half off following his UFC 291 loss to Alex Pereira and undergoing double shoulder surgeries, Jan Blachowicz is looking to get back in the win column next month when he faces off with Carlos Ulberg. Given the rankings, the winner of that fight might wind up fighting Jiri Prochazka. UFC Fight Updates. With Fight Week underway, let's take a look at today's UFC Fight Updates, starting with a fight between Yang Xiaonan and Verna Jandiroba set for the UFC 314 card this coming April. Xiaonan's fresh off a decision win over Tabitha Ricci back in November. On the flip side, Jandiroba's out to make it 4 in a row after an armbar victory over Amanda Lemos in her last fight. We also have 2 new additions to the UFC Kansas City Fight Night card, set to take place in late April. First up on the card, we have a fight between Ahmad Hanzazada and Mitch Ramirez, where Hanzazada will be looking to pick up his first win in the UFC after a win on Dana White's Contender Series in September. On the flip side, Ramirez will look to bounce back from a loss to Thiago Moises in his UFC debut last March. And finally, in the strawweight division, Jacqueline Amorim will fight Polyana Viana. Amorim will be looking to make it 4 in a row after a win over Vanessa Demopoulos in her last fight, while Viana will look to snap a 2-fight skid that saw her finished by Jillian Robertson early last year. Alexander Volkanovski on cornering against Ilia Topuria at UFC 312. This weekend, Alexander Volkanovski will coach against Ilia Topuria at UFC 312, where Volk's teammate Colby Thickness faces off with Topuria's brother Alexander. Originally, Topuria was set to fight Cody Haddon, but when he pulled out on short notice, the UFC asked Thickness, who's undefeated, if he'd be willing to step in and make his UFC debut on short notice. Thickness has trained with Volk ever since he was a teenager, and after initially talking about how excited he was to see a longtime training partner make his UFC debut, Volkanovski opened up on coaching opposite the featherweight champion in the first UFC 312 embedded episode of this week. We'll be in the corner, which is going to be pretty cool, always in my corner throughout my career, so it's good to just be there for his. Then you've got Ilia, who's going to be in Alexander Topuria's corner as well, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's ever happened, where 2 debut guys have, champion, former champion, master coaches like Joe and his coaches. It's pretty cool. There's been a lot of hype surrounding Alexander Topuria for quite some time now. However, he's been focused on helping his younger brother cement his place as the featherweight champ. Because of that, he hasn't fought since May of 2023. However, this Saturday, he'll have a chance to make a statement in his UFC debut in front of Thickness's hometown fans. Fighter removed from the UFC roster. In the opening fight of this past weekend's card in Saudi Arabia, Jamal Pogues wound up dropping a decision to Hamdi Abdelwahab. While Pogues and a bunch of fans all thought that he was robbed and should have been given the W, the UFC brass seemingly disagrees. On Monday, the automated UFC roster tracker informed fans that Pogues had been removed from the promotion's roster after the split decision loss. Following Saturday's loss, Pogues' UFC record was 2-2 with a decision victory over Josh Parisian back in 2023 and a decision win over Thomas Peterson in 2024. In a video released on his Instagram story right after the loss on Saturday, Pogues said he got robbed in the final fight on his contract.
It's not really much to say, man. When you fight in people's country, they gonna pick the hometown guy. I know I won 2 and 3. Other than that, man, I really don't know what's next. We'll see what the UFC do, if they re-sign me or not. If not, man, I appreciate everything about this journey, man. And man, I just go back home, heal up, and just hang out with my family, man. And we'll see where God takes me next. But I know I won the fight. We about to get this overturned, man. I'm going to the commission. Everybody in the world saw me win that fight, man. I don't know what to say. I don't give a what nobody say Hamdi and anybody else that went against me, because I know I won that fight.
Considering he was set to hit free agency, Pogues was not sure whether the UFC would re-sign him. Now, after being released, the 29-year-old will have to pick up some wins on the regional scene if he wants to make his way back to the UFC.